Hello, I'm Jody Wolf. You're watching Expoz, September 1, 2016, 11:29 p.m., Birmingham. In the topic, once again, fish, animal, dives. Very long list. And you just had the lightning strike in Norway, what, killed 300 kangaroo, right? Then over in Australia, you had 300 reindeer killed. How did they get over there? You know what I'm talking about. I don't believe that lightning struck Norway and killed 300 of these reindeer. I don't believe it. I just don't believe it. That's hogwash. And the 7,000 2 years ago in the Snake River Valley, right on the banks of the river, 7,000 white-tailed deer. In Australia, I mentioned that there were a lot of kangaroo that died and other animals, and plus you had a lot of shark in the waters, and I don't recall hearing of a great white, but yet there were a lot of shark, different shark, and other fish. I don't know, I don't think they were pilot whales, but they were a lot of them. But some of the recents that you hear, they're no longer saying, well, there's 5 or 10,000. Now they're saying 1 to 200 tons. Now that's what we're talking about. I mean, when 6,000 birds fall out of the sky, January 1, 2009, and you have Kentucky, Arkansas, through there. Nowhere in the world I believe that these birds are flying through the skies at midnight and not raining, not lightning, in fact, no storm. And these birds often do migrate, okay? And they often migrate at night. But there's no way that fireworks scared them so bad that they started running into each other, and tens of thousands of them were killed. And it didn't rain didn't thunder like that. Fireworks like that, I'm sorry. At every location. And the reason I'm saying this is because of different dates. You have large numbers of birds that fall from the sky. And it was not July the 4th. It was not January 1. It was not storming. There were no thunder and lightning. They just fell by the tens of thousands, and not only in the U.S., in every country. And I say every country, even Antarctica. Hey, these little old penguin thing, they were dead. They found tons of them dead. And some beaches had to be closed, and in several locations where they number the fish in the 200-ton range. And we're not talking about sharks or whales. We're talking about fish that are about 12, 14 inches long. To weigh 200 tons, boy, these guys fishing in Alaska, they'd like to come out here and get their net on some of these things. It's not lightning. It's not thunder scaring them or fireworks. No one poisoned the skies, because right about the same time, it was, I'm going to say not quite a year later, but we're in the neighborhood of September. And my granddaughter lived with me. And when I'm out cutting the backyard, I take my time because I like to keep it up. It's really nice, and I have a lake. But my granddaughter came to me 3 times, just once per day, and said, Pawpaw, you should look at this. And I said, what is it, baby? She said, there's some fish over there dead. I said, well, that happens sometimes. I said, I'll look at them later. Well, it didn't look. And keep in mind, I'm almost on the bank, so I'm 10 feet away from the bank. And the bank, very gentle slope. You walk down, and there's an even cut line. I have a mower in there that keeps the grass trimmed. So she tells me again the second time I'm cutting. This time I hadn't quite got to the edge of the water because I weed eat that part. And on the third day, she told me, this is when I'm getting the weed eater out, and my daughter, standing on the deck, she said, Dad, you need to listen to what she's telling you. I said, what? She said, she's trying to tell you some fish died. I said, I know. I'll go with her and look. I said, come on, McKinley. And I turned my head and just kind of looked at the water, and I was blown out of my socks. Look, in my little pond of 2.5 acres, maybe 3 tops, I counted 3,000 dead fish in that tiny pond. And I am not the only one. So many people that I know that have ponds, because I've had 3 locations that every place that I've owned that was big enough, I took my equipment and built a pond. And lucky enough, I tapped into underground springs at 2 of the locations. And the location now, I have 3 springs that's feeding it. But 3,000 dead fish? The majority of them were brim. Majority of them were small. But some of the biggest ones that were in there that I put in there back in 1997, keep in mind this is 10 years later or 12 years later, they were big. You lay them in the bottom of a Home Depot bucket and the tail turns up 6 inches. I've got my grandson one mounted that he caught that filled the bottom of the bucket and the tail still turned up 6 inches. And bass, 10 plus pound. There's probably not more than 20 in the pond, but I believe about 2/3 of them are dead. Nothing, there's no lightning, no storms, there's no poison in the water, nothing, but they're dead. And this was all over this country. This is all over other countries. There's no lightning doing this. There's no poison doing it. There's no fireworks scaring things and making them fall out of the sky. It is in the Bible, guys. It talks about these very things. These things that you see. At one point, 1/3 of all animals will die. 1/3 of all fish in the waters will die. And I believe in my heart by today we have either reached that point or exceeded in I'm not talking about the sardines, and I'm not talking about things like that, the krill. I'm talking about fish in the water, but there's places that's not even been mentioned. Look, 3 years ago from this month, in fact, about this time, 2 days ago, I was in going out west, and I was on Highway 90, I think, and I'm approaching Rapid City. I'm probably 20 miles away, and I see a place, and I see a sign, and it said "Dances with the Wolves," and it's up on a hill, easily read it. And so I pulled in a place, fueled up, bought a couple of things. Everywhere I stop at, buy a souvenir. Also took pictures of a tractor trailer, not a but a double trailer full of caskets. Plastic, hard neoprene plastic casket. And each were big enough to hold 5 people of my size. Tractor trailer was full of them, and I took several pictures, and I sent them to different people. I said, you got to see this. Every one of them, I didn't put down what they were, but every one of them typed back, oh my God. So the guy that does the Prison Planet, he talks about this all the time. So here I am in South Dakota. I may have said north, South Dakota, near Rapid City, and I'm hanging. Well, actually, go through Rapid City, then hang a left, go to Sturgis, and I see this place. So I not supposed to, but I did. I climbed over a fence and I walked up on a hill because I remember the movie Dances with the Wolves. My wife loved it. 1990, 91, somewhere in there. She always wanted to go see that location. And I said, we will. And we started traveling in 95. And she got sick and she passed away in January 99. So we got to travel 95, 96, and the first 4 months of 1997. That was it. So she never got to see it, but I went by there twice. Second time I said, I'm not going to miss it. I'm going to go find it. And I did. And the reason I'm telling this particular story because it has a point to it. So I scaled this little fence, not big, right beside a sign. I put my left arm on it to help me get over the fence. It said, no trespassing. And I said, well, I'd rather say I'm sorry than ask permission and get turned down. So I went on and I walked over because I recognized the location. Of course, you don't see the interstate. You don't see the store there, big store, Love's or something like that. But I went over to the place that I did recognize, and it was awesome. Behind it, is a different scenery than I pictured. But then I went on the internet and found out that they cleaned all that out and made it all prairie, and except a row of trees along a tiny spring there, creek. But that very spot, those rolling hills of Great Plains, 4 weeks later from that date, 200, and you look it up, see if I'm telling the truth, and 50,000 head of cattle died in a freak snowstorm. Look it up. Right there where I was, and I just couldn't register that. So I'm in Washington State. I can make it to Oregon. In Oregon, they let you drive on the beach at certain places, and I did. And every now and then, I would see something dead, a seal, a squid, not an octopus, but a squid. The Humboldt is what it was, because there was a show on it 2 years later that said they found these squid that's not of this area. They're usually way down in Baja California, but they're up here. They said, wonder how far they go. And somebody said, I don't think they go as far as Alaska. It's too cold. Boom. Next doggone TV news show come on, talk about somebody asking if the Humboldt squid had made it up to Alaska, and it showed a bear on the banks eating Humboldt squid, and he had all he wanted. The banks were lined with them, dead, thousands of them. Guys, this is the Bible. This Bible is proving to us that these things that are happening today are talked about by the Bible, and it describes a third of this and this and this, a third of the birds, a third of the grass will burn up, a third of what's in the ocean will die, a third of the animals will die. Guys, this happens. It's happened. Probably reached that third. But we are indeed in those end days. And then that I saw and did a blog on last night, that one, just like you put a 220 on me, I felt almost electrocuted when I saw that there's a peace process waiting to be properly written in Israel. But it cannot be ratified until the Antichrist himself will do it. They will have a process and they will enter into it, and it will fail. It may fail 2 or 3 times, but the one that counts will have the magic number for 7 years. Then we're out of here. Quick. Jody with Expoz.